Please confine your comments to matters that are germane to the district, to the business of the district. Further, please recognize that students attend most of our meetings. Any speaker whose statements or behavior are unrelated to the business of the district, appear threatening or unsafe, or are inappropriate for K-12 students may be interrupted or warned, and their opportunity for further comment terminated. Audience members who speak are asked to do so in a respectful manner, and the audience is encouraged to listen respectfully. Any speaker or audience member who disrupts the good order of the board meeting, including the speaking time of others, may be asked to leave. We are very interested in your feedback and will listen carefully. On behalf of the board, I want to thank you in advance for your comments, for taking the time to come to tonight's meeting. Mr. Conant, would you please ask the first group to line up?
I'll call 5 people at a time. You can line up in order behind the podium. You line up in order behind the podium, and remember to state your name when you start. Morgan Welch, Chip Boykin, Andrea Mohammed, Missy Bergman, Steve Bergman.
Hello, thank you for your service tonight, board members. So my name is Maureen Welch, and to the veterans who mostly seem to have left, thank you for your service. And I also want to thank the teachers, paraprofessionals, support staffs, in particular the ILC at Cherry Creek High School, where my son attends. And a shout out to Tony Poole and his team for all they do for special ed students. Happy holidays to all of you, especially to the teacher in the back row, back corner who's grading papers during this meeting. I see you. Today's month 4 of my same request. I have a handout that I gave you with my contact information. I'd like to have a conversation about this rather than a one-way comment, especially with Ms. Egan, who's my elected member. And democracy requires access and participation. And Cherry Creek School District is the only metro district that does not live stream its meetings and does not have a on-demand video live record online on demand. This board is in last place for digital transparency, and it's not just for this board meeting, it's also for the parent advisory committees like PASS, SEAC, and PIN, who do not have hybrid options for live streaming. It's a missed opportunity, especially for those whom travel is a burden due to disability, cost, time, childcare, and so much more. I'm paying a babysitter to be here tonight, so I'm happy I'm number 1. These critical bodies are only accessible in person, which means it's missing a huge portion of this district that could be represented and participating. Board member Egan is correct about the respiratory infection rates going around, and we would all be much safer participating from home. These critical bodies, please make sure that people can hear what you're saying here. There are so many wonderful accolades, the videos, the testimony. I'd just like more people to participate. So I look forward to having a dialogue, perhaps in a study session or something, because 4 months in a row, I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing it too. So thank you, happy holidays.
Chip Boykin. I want to address the myths and conspiracies that I have heard presented at this podium over the past year regarding the teaching of CRT, critical race theory, and the Cherry Creek school system. By implication and innuendo, this nefarious plan is being supported and implemented by parents and school administration and teachers of color to cause white students to be uncomfortable and traumatized by their racial identity. According to the recent Pew Research data, 80% of the U.S. public school teaching population is comprised of white females, essentially 8 out of every 10 teachers. Those who claim that CRT is used in this district, are you suggesting that white female teachers are sending little white kids home traumatized about their white identities? We folks of color, as well as other logical thinking people, reject that assumption outright. However, we can discuss the documented trauma that unfortunately students of color, gender, and sexuality issues experience at a later date. This brings us to another fact. It is also well known to parents and administrators that school curriculum changes require intense review before implementation. Critical race theory is taught only at elite law schools such as Harvard, Stanford, Vanderbilt, etc. I would like to ask the Superintendent Smith and Cherry Creek Board to check their employment database to determine what lawyers, paralegals, and law school dropouts have been masquerading as in your district as Cherry Creek school teachers, and you need to pay them immediately. So if you have no such employees in the district, then I would also contend you have no one trained.
Thank you, your time is up.
Good evening, Andrea Mohammed Bai. Club Q, Eagle Crest. Have we seen enough yet to realize that our LGBTQ children are suffering and that they live in fear of being hunted by radicalized right-wing gun-toting terrorists? As a school district, anything we can do to help these children feel safe, accepted, and included is a matter of life and death. The far right purports to be about humanity, but where is the humanity in denying the existence of these kids? There is enough space to focus on academics and help our marginalized children feel safe and included. In fact, the research supports that when students feel seen, included, and represented, they perform better academically. The concepts of academic rigor and inclusion are not mutually exclusive. Separation of church and state is still the law, and schools are an arm of the state. An example, my Latinx cousin who graduated from CCSD was raised in a strictly Mormon household. When he came out, he was told that it was a sin, and that if he tried to bring a partner home, he would not be accepted. My cousin found a refuge at his school when his parents' religious beliefs were incongruent with his identity, because the school is not a place where religion has a home. It literally saved his life, and today he is a teacher. My sons first learned about transgender persons when one parent in a preschool class was transitioning. In kindergarten, another classmate had two dads. It wasn't a huge deal for them, and they were not damaged from the experience. They learned the importance of respecting identity and treating others with dignity. CRT is not taught in school. As someone who studied it in law school and spent a year researching it for a professor, this is not what is being taught, rest assured. Inclusive curriculum is not CRT. Complying with the law that diverse histories and contributions to our society be included reflects the fundamental reality of how our country was founded. This is academic rigor. On a final note, for anyone who would threaten the protected speech of members of this community, I advise you to refrain from drawing legal conclusions and demanding performance of any kind. Let's be sure to steer clear of unauthorized practice.
Thank you, your time is up.
My name is Missy Berglund. Community involvement, engagement, relationships, best practice, well-being, innovation, and equity. These are the words that parents are promised when we send our kids to the Cherry Creek School District. And yet, as a parent on the north side of the district, these words do not align with what our students consistently experience. I remember when my oldest daughter started at Canyon Creek, and the district changed the policy to ensure that students were getting to sleep in middle school because it aligned with best practice. It aligned with what was developmentally appropriate for them. However, on the north side of the district, too many parents feel that our students do not receive those best practices, that this district does not align what it says it will do with what our students actually experience. If there's something that the district needs to grow on the north side, I would ask that instead of shutting out parents, not responding to emails, and not addressing concerns, that you ensure that you not only hear us, you listen to us, and you actively seek to engage us. On the Cherry Creek Leadership Committee, or whatever that thing is, you have less than 5 parents from the entire north side of the district representing an entire side of the district that is your most underserved part of the district, the part of your district that you are failing. And yet we see schools in the north side of the district able to just not have past meetings, to not have meaningful past meetings. The north side of the district should be leading the equity work. And yet what we see is that you are failing to lead the equity work on the north side of the district. We need to be seen, we need to be heard, and our students deserve the same access to excellence that you provide and ensure for students across other parts of the district.
Hello, I'm Steve Berglund. I signed up to have my daughter Lorelai speak on my behalf.
Hello, my name is Lorelai Berglund. I am in 7th grade at Prairie Middle School, and I'm here to tell you why all teachers should be trained to accept students no matter who they're attracted to or their preferred pronouns are. Students should feel loved no matter what, including at school. Mind you, some people commit suicide due to feeling unloved, alone, unsupported, and disconnected at school or at home. School will be an uncomfortable environment for LGBTQ plus students if they feel their teachers don't care about them. According to Trevor's Project, more than 1.8 million LGBTQ youth seriously consider committing suicide each year in the U.S., and at least one student every 45 seconds tried to commit suicide. Train teachers to accept everyone.
Wendy Foreman, Melissa Scully, Jen Gibbons, Madeline Horn, Steve Stedman.
My daughter was recently the target of several anti-Semitic
Sorry, ma'am,
statements.
can you state your name?
Wendy Foreman. Sorry. My daughter was recently the target of several anti-Semitic statements at Campus Middle School. We were lucky to ask the administration at our school address this incident swiftly, but Campus Middle School is not alone in its anti-Semitic incidents. There have been reports at West Middle School, and I am certain they are not isolated. This indicates a greater need for our district to be responsive to the environment in our community. Hate speech is on the rise nationally and certainly evident right here in our own backyards. We need to be sure that as a district we are clear and concise about what will not be tolerated and what the consequence for this type of targeted language will be. Maybe it's a child joking when asking my daughter if she wants to pick up pennies off the floor because Jews like money, or comments that her and her classmates should have died in the gas chambers. Either way, our children should not have to laugh uncomfortably at comments or second guess if they should proudly wear their Star of David when it goes to school. I'm asking the district to take more responsibility for setting the tone at each of its middle and high schools in regards to hate speech. Religion is touched on in JICDB, but this is not sufficient. I've reviewed the proposed updates to JICDA and appreciate the revisions, but it is even the proposed changes do not seem to be specific nor responsive enough to address the current student behavior and hate speech that is so prevalent in our community today. Wording needs to be clear and concise so that children understand what is expected of them. I ask that the board consider a revision to JICDA number 13 to be further revised to specifically make reference to hate speech and include religion to be engaging, as it reads, to be engaging in verbal or abuse or hate speech, i.e. name calling, religious, ethnic, or racial slurs, and onward. I also ask that the changes be quickly made and reviewed by the board.
Sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Missy Scully. Thank you for your time tonight. I just wanted to talk about the changes in the math curriculum for replacing big ideas. I think it's great that it's being replaced, but I think what's concerning to me is that I sent 3 kids through middle school and that was the entirety of the curriculum, and the way the language around it reads, that it's being replaced because given its poor ed report ratings, its lack of alignment to Cherry Creek's math teaching and learning framework, and it's not identified by CDE as a high quality instructional material. And that was what my kids got. That's what all of our kids got for the last several years. So when we know that we have a product that's poor, I would encourage us to, first of all, never take it on. And I'm sure this was adopted during the age of Common Core when required by the state to adopt something new and adopt something quickly. And so what I'm asking from you as a board and from district leadership is to push back. When the choice is bad versus worse, that's not the right choice for our kids, because these kids don't get that math education back. It's great that we're changing it now, but we have 7 years of kids who got a failing curriculum. And I don't want it just for math, I want it for everything. When you are given a choice of bad versus worse, or suboptimal, or not up to our great Cherry Creek standards, I want you to push back. I want you to say no to the state. The legislature is not full of expert educators. The State Board of Education is not full of education experts. Our classrooms, our schools are filled with educational experts. Our teachers are the experts. Our district leadership team, our admin team are filled with educational experts. We need to be driving better decisions for our kids, and I'm just asking all of you to do more. Stand up, say no, do better when those are the choices. Thank you.
I'm Jen Gibbons. Thank you for that wonderful presentation today. My kids and I have benefited from many CCSD activities and athletics, and we'll be forever grateful for those. And thank you for honoring our vets. I know Mr. Roy Roy, he's given me a Purple Heart. I keep it in a special place. It was my pleasure to see him honored today. Tonight, I'm here to ask you one specific question and request, please stop using the term whiteness. I have heard this leadership use that term whiteness as something that needs to be interrupted, like it's something negative. And be assured, when principals email families that CCSD is working to interrupt the presence of whiteness, the children in this district have heard that message. Also, to assume that there's whiteness, do you also assume that there's blackness and brownness? If this is true, what is it? Can you name it? And if you can name it, isn't that racist? Is it racist to assume that your skin color decides your attributes? If you can name what whiteness is, why don't you? Why don't you pinpoint exactly what it is and use that term instead of whiteness? As a part of the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, we would love to know what in whiteness is affecting our students negatively so we can help you combat it. Whiteness is just the color of our skin, and there's nothing we can do about that. Please name the specific barriers that are affecting our BIPOC learners specifically so we can help you constructively and collaboratively so that our kids' learning and achieving can begin again. Thank you. Madeline Horn. 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. This statistic is scary. With all this talk of Traverse Academy, the new mental health center in our district, I know that Cherry Creek cares about the mental health and safety of our children, but I would like to remind everyone that mental health care is preventative. We want to build up our kids' social and emotional skills so they never need this new wonderful facility. Keep doing the Second Step program. It teaches our kids these skills. Support our schools that are making efforts to switch to gender-neutral bathrooms, and share LGBTQ resources with our families regularly so they can support their children. The Trevor Project reported this year that LGBTQ youth who felt high social support from their families attempted suicide less than half the rate of those who felt low or moderate social support. These words are critical. Moderate support is not enough. Our LGBTQ kids need high support if they want to survive. On November 21st, I received an email from Superintendent Smith that brought tears to my eyes. He stated that the message for LGBTQ members of our Cherry Creek community is, you are valued, you matter, you're loved, you belong here. Thank you, Superintendent. That was high social support. That is what we needed to hear and need to keep hearing. Please, Cherry Creek, don't wait until more LGBTQ community members are attacked to remind them that you support them. High support needs to be consistent, constant, and unwavering. It needs to be during times of pride and joy, and not just mourning, or there will be more mourning, because we will lose too many of these children. This isn't politics. This is life and death.
Good evening, board members. I'm Steve Stedman. I live at 2348 South Fairfax Drive in the Holly Hills neighborhood of unincorporated Arapahoe County. I'm here tonight to talk about a business item for your board, and that is our request, or my request, that you reconsider a decision that this board has made with regards to the intergovernmental agreement for the Rocky Mountain School of Expeditionary Learning. What we're asking for, I'm a member of the District Accountability Committee at the school. We would like to have a discussion so that we can better understand what the factors were in your decision to decide to leave. We love you, man. We want to be part of you. This is a tremendous organization. And we feel at our school that we can be a valuable part. We can be one more option, one more choice for kids. Kids that might not fit in exactly everywhere. Just one more choice. 130 or so children from the Cherry Creek School District attend the Rocky Mountain School of Expeditionary Learning. I would just join with some other speakers in just seeking a little more transparency. I have contacted the board with business-like emails and have received boilerplate or no response. It's such an impressive operation. I bet you could do better. I thank you very much for your time this evening. Happy holidays, and we look forward to hearing back from you sometime soon.
Tamara Cullen, Audra Dubler, David Dubler, Kimberly Ellis, Lori Emelstein.
Hello, board. My name is Tamara Pelham. A couple of weeks ago, my kid was taking in a couple of his classes. He's a 9th grader in high school, and I was trying to be a judicious parent, get on Schoology, get on Power School, figure out why he's going down the tubes, and it was his test scores. So, of course, as a judicious parent, I email the teachers, what can we do? How can we intercept this? How can we figure this out? And one of the responses I get back was, hey, I set up these online things to teach them how to study for their tests before their tests, but that was just at the beginning of the year, and now I have to say that from an executive level, we as teachers are discouraged from issuing homework. Whoa, okay, yes, I am a product of the 80s, but homework was pivotal for repetition, to learn, regurgitate, and then, of course, forget. But regardless, we're not getting the homework. And whether you grade it or not grade it, if you don't give homework and you don't encourage homework to be given, a kid doesn't even have a chance to repeat, learn. You're gonna get this, Angela, because your kids are right behind mine. But regardless, I would ask the board to perhaps reconsider this notion, and I know it's a fine balance of homework and time and extracurricular activities, but homework is pivotal. And for a teacher to be
Thank you. That was up.
Audra Dubler, from Greenwood Village. Dear board members, we're asking for your help tonight. The image you see in front of me is new to our community within the past year. The picture is 300 to 600 flight school propeller planes per day practicing touch and goes. That's touch and goes, takeoff and landing over and over and over again. These planes are using leaded gasoline. The biggest problem is that they're using leaded gasoline over 8 Cherry Creek schools every single day. We are coming to you to let you know of the immediate danger the children in these schools are in and the urgency in which we need the school board to act today. Yes, lead has been banned from paint, pipes, automobiles, but it has not been banned from the general aviation industry. Exposure to lead can seriously harm a child's health, including damage to the brain and nervous system. slow growth and development, learning and behavior problems, and hearing and speech problems. Once damage occurs, there is no recovery. It is permanent damage. The CDC and EPA state that there is no safe level of lead, especially in children with developing brains, and those of actually pregnant women. Exposure to lead can have a wide range of effects on a child's development and behavior, even when exposed to small amounts of lead. The image that I handed out that you guys will see and you can pass along are, there's red X's along the line of all of these prop planes on a daily basis. The hardest hit Cherry Creek schools are Cherry Creek Academy, High Plains Elementary, Cottonwood Creek Elementary, Bellevue Elementary, Campus Middle School, Cherry Creek. Due to the wind,
Thank you, your time is up.
I left a note. Please, we need your help.
Dave Jubler. I have a junior at Cherry Creek High School. I too am coming before you tonight to talk about the poisoning and the noise that that's causing mental health issues with our students in the entire district, specifically the west side of the district. As you know, Centennial Airport is in the southwest part of the district, and it continues to send up these training flights, which are fueled by leaded gas. Many people don't know that, and it continues to burn emissions over these kids. There's approximately 8,000 students on the west side of the district that are being affected by this. And in addition to the lead pollution that our kids are breathing in, there's noise pollution as well. It's well documented that noise pollution causes sleep disturbances, it causes disturbance in activities. This affects your nervous system, your endocrine system, and you end up having problems with your mental health, anxiety, stress, in addition to high blood pressure. There was an airport in San Jose that was very similar to Centennial Airport, and they did a study of the children around that airport, and it was found that the elevated blood levels of those children were similar to those at the Flint, Michigan water crisis. This is not acceptable, and that airport does half the airport training operations that Centennial Airport does. So what I'm asking this board and what I'm asking the superintendent is that please get involved and limit these training operations for the safety and well-being of our students. Thank you.
Casey Ellis, President of the Cherry Creek Education Association. First things first, I just want to thank you for all of the activities that you offer our students. My child is a student at Smoky Hill High School and has found DECA as a junior and loves it. As a matter of fact, he came home with a brown bag and said, "Keeks, we need to fill this up." And I said, "What?" He said, "Whatever you can give. Cans, goods, this, that, and the other." I said, "Can you give me a little more notice because you're asking me to unload our cupboards," which we did, please note that, but it was a little more heads up would have been great. But anyway, I just want to thank you for that. It took to his junior year to find something that he just loved to do and DECA seems to get. As the president of the association, I also want to thank you for what we're about to unveil with our members tomorrow, which is hopefully our new salary schedule. And what I'm excited about is that what we're looking at is going to attract and retain educators to Cherry Creek School District. I'm excited to see what this will do as far as bringing in, as Superintendent Smith referred to, special education educators as well. Our educators are amazing. They are looking forward to a well-deserved break coming up, but they have also expressed the excitement they've had this semester being, dare I say, normal compared to what we've had the past 2 years. They love being back with the kids. They love being able to read and write and math and science and all of those things. I've just taken 3 members down to the State Board of Education to talk to the State Board about social studies standards and recently science CMAS PET scores. So we are trying to make things better all the way around. But thank you again for
Thank you, your time is up.
Hi, I'm Lori Gimmelstein. I just want to say, wow, what an incredible presentation this evening, and the Quilts of Valor is just remarkable. I loved seeing the unity in the videos. I mean, that's what really spoke to me in those videos, was how together our community was. And what I did not see was any signs of oppression in those videos. And as we celebrate our veterans and what they've done for our great country, the American idea, this idea that all men are created equal and that we all benefit from this equal right of being able to move forward with our life, our liberties, and our pursuit of happiness. I wonder if the veterans that were sitting here today, if they had an opportunity to spend a time in a middle school or a high school and watch only 2 children stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I wonder what they would think about that and how they fought for that flag in this country. I'm curious, what do you think? I want to just say that this week was in stark contrast to last month's Board of Education meeting. I wonder if the veterans that were here listening to the fact that the board believes that our country was founded on systemic racism, I wonder how that would make them feel. I wonder how it would make them feel to know that the Assistant Superintendent of the Office of Equity, Culture, and Community Engagement does not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to our country. This is a government school, our country. It's shameful, and I'm embarrassed. And I want more of tonight and less of last month, because all of our kids are created equal, and they all deserve equal opportunity.
Thank you, your time is up. Rebecca Kim, Bill Vanderlee, Preston Moxkey, Unsub Zaka, Brian McKinney.
Good evening, my name is Rebecca Kim, and I have 2 daughters that graduated from Liberty. We enjoyed our time here, and our experience with the administration, teachers, and staff was wonderful. I too want to recognize what a couple of schools have done to honor our veterans and military, specifically Liberty and Grandview. I am the chair of the Colorado Fallen Heroes Memorial. Our memorial honors Coloradans killed in action from World War I to present. I've been involved with this organization since 2009. We've always viewed our mission in 3 phases. First, erect the memorial in the state capitol. Second, preserve the stories of our fallen. And third, to bridge the gap between our youth and service, whether that's in military service or volunteering within your community. I'm so pleased to note that Liberty Middle School and Grandview High School stepped up last year to explore how to involve students in preserving our fallen stories. Principal Doherty and Ms. Laura Kupis were 100% on board. Students in Ms. Kupis' art class and art students at Grandview selected photos of Colorado's fallen and sketched, painted, and transformed them, and they came alive. These photos were hung along the promenade during our dedication, and family members of the fallen, also called Gold Star families, members of the public, military, our governor, and others witnessed the work these students put in and how they connected with our fallen. All those in attendance were incredibly moved. Our hope is that this effort will continue in the coming years and that our students will become history ambassadors, linking today's youth to preserving stories of our fallen and the sacrifices our servicemen and women are willing to make and some ultimately do make. The lessons that can be learned by telling these stories can be life-changing. Thank you very much.
My name is Preston Moxie. I have 2 children at Cherry Creek High School, and yes, Miss Vegan, the Wizard of Oz was quite great, so thanks for mentioning that. I'm here to talk about recent change at Centennial Airport that has impacted student and staff safety within Cherry Creek schools and all the associated land that you all own and operate. In the last 20 months since a mid-air collision above the reservoir, Centennial Airport has been solving their congestion problem by shifting training flights from a constrained area near the airport to an area well outside their own recommended guidelines. Nearly every day, hundreds of training operations happen at low altitudes well north of Arapahoe Road. 6 schools are directly under this extended traffic pattern. A handful of large flight schools are now growing, and novice pilots are burning leaded gasoline. For decades, this has been banned in nearly everything in our lives, yet lead remains in general aviation. Centennial Airport is a top 5 lead polluter in the entire country. Student safety, along with your teachers and staff, are at risk. The risk of a crash is quite real. Arapahoe County actually forbids the building, working, or living near too close to the airport's boundaries. It is appalling that 700,000 gallons of leaded gasoline is being burned literally hundreds of feet above our children while they learn and play. The lead rate is down, and it will be here to stay for years to come. We are asking that this board, along with Arapahoe County Commissioners that have already been involved, the Greenwood Village Mayor has also been involved, engage with us and work with the FAA and the airport on a solution. This board has a large voice. You're a major employer. People look to you and this board to run this community. Please use your voice if you are interested or able. Given Centennial's growth plans, given the change in the FAA's recent traffic practices, the risk to our kids in school is too large. Our kids and us parents would like for you to live up to the idea of whole well-being. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Bill Vanderlut. I'm a parent of a kindy and a third grader here in the district. I've been to a fair number of these meetings, and I'd like to thank all of you for your service to our community and join those who have praised the work we saw here today in terms of the strong ties you built with our veteran community, teaching my young kids about the value of service, about the value of what it means to be an American citizen is immensely important to me, and so it's heartening to me to see that. I'd also like to respond, though, to what Ms. Gimmelstein said in terms of seeing a contrast between the patriotism we associate with our vets and the work done by Mike Giles in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. In my mind, worrying about the most vulnerable students in our schools is absolutely core to our American values. If we're going to truly support equality, we absolutely need to focus, as you all have, on the whole child. We absolutely need to respond to stories when we hear about kids being attacked with anti-Semitic slurs, when we know that our LGBTQ kids are at much higher risk of suicide because of all the social pressures and bias that they face on a daily basis. It's absolutely our duty as a school district, as educators, to support those kids, to show solidarity with them in order to fulfill those values that our vets represent. The freedom and equality that we all value in order to ensure that every student has an equal opportunity. So I'd like to encourage you to continue the important work you've done supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within our schools. I see that as essential to what I want my students to learn, or my children to learn about valuing diversity, about appreciating that not everyone has things as easy as my kids may. And I simply want to thank you for your service and urge you to continue in the good work you're doing to build truly a powerful community and to build true citizens that understand and value all of their fellow citizens. Thank you.
Unsaid Becker. White parents targeting protected speech of BIPOC parents. That's what we've come down to at these meetings. My community and I show up at these meetings to be the voice of students and families who have been historically and systematically excluded in our school systems. When parent groups like Cherry Creek Parent Advocacy Network are called out for their verified associations with far-right white nationalist organizations and their inappropriate behavior at meetings, like heckling, getting into a black father's face at a meeting, disrupting me and others during meetings, they choose to point their finger at me, claiming the truth that has caused some sort of damage, taking it upon themselves to demand when and where some sort of apology is to take place. If the truth is causing damage, perhaps an inward reflection of their actions and associations is necessary, rather than outward misplaced accusations. I will not, nor will I ever apologize for stating the easily corroborated truth. I also will not ever back down for standing for the rights and dignity of our BIPOC and LGBTQIA students. At minimum, they deserve their dignity, and the least I can do is support them and the district in creating a place for them to learn and thrive. I will never understand how advocating for the humanity of each student to be included in the curriculum and school experience is somehow a political agenda. How is my son's humanity, students of color, and LGBTQIA students' humanity a political agenda? Our community has lost several lives over weeks and months, lives who struggle to see a place for themselves because of their gender and sexual identity. There are community members who have created an environment in which these precious lives were so ostracized they no longer could see themselves in it. I'm not okay with that. No one should be okay with that. This is why I fully support the work of Mike Giles and his team in the Office of Equity, Culture, and Youth.
Your time is up.
Good evening, my name is Brian McKinney and I'm a parent in this district. I'm back with Chronicles of a Black Parent. And let me just start out and say, yes, I own and celebrate all of my blackness, all of it. A few months ago, at the September board meeting, I spoke and advocated strongly for Black and Brown and LGBTQIA students. After I was done speaking and walking back to my seat, the founder of the Cherry Creek Parent Advocacy Network stepped in my way, got in my face, and had to be escorted back to her seat by district security, totally out of control. Perhaps she didn't like me advocating for underserved students in this district. Well, I don't need critical race theory to draw some parallels between that type of behavior and the ugliest periods in American history. A month later, at the October meeting, I watched as some community members laughed at and jeered at an Asian mother as she spoke about her experiences raising her biracial son in CCSD. At a board meeting, a community member called members of the LGBTQIA community sexual deviants. One thing we all need to keep in mind is there's a board election next year, and it's very likely that many of the organizations popping up will support or endorse a candidate or a slate of candidates, similar to Douglas County. Well, Maya Angelou has a saying. She says, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Well, after 3 years of threats aimed at this very board and district leadership, a violent threat that forced the board meeting to be held virtually, 3 years of bad faith CRT claims, rhetoric that's anti-teacher, anti-equity, anti-student, anti-parent, anti-LGBTQIA, anti-inclusive history, and frankly, anti-education. After 3 years of that, for the sake of students, parents, and educators and leaders in this district, I suggest we believe them the first time. Thank you and good night.
That's all for the comment.
Thank you, Mr. Koenig. Thank you all for your comments this evening. The only further business right now we need to, before we move on to consideration of the resolutions, are there any resolutions that board members would like to pull or discuss? Okay, at this time, then, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Revised consent agenda, resolutions 22-12.1 through 22.12.13.
The consent agenda, resolutions 22.12.1 through 22.12.13.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Directors Allen.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Egan.
Aye.
Garland.
Aye.
McDonald.
Aye. Thank you. The motion to approve the consent agenda carries. The only other business that we have at this time is to announce our next Board of Education meeting, Monday, January 29th, 2023, at 7 p.m. at the Instructional Support Facility on Riviera Way, Centennial, Colorado. Thank you again for attending tonight's meeting. I hope that you spend time with your family celebrating the many holidays that December holds. Please keep yourselves and your loved ones safe, and remember, the best way to be involved with actual facts is to attend meetings at your local schools and these board meetings.
Point of order, Mrs. Bates, before you continue, I think the January meeting is January 9th, not January 29th.
I'm sorry, did I say 29th? I'm sorry.
That's
Thank you.
what I heard, thank you.
Correct, the next meeting is January 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. So we hope to see you all in person next month. May I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Move to adjourn, and also just a shout out to our new Traverse Mental Health Day Treatment Center.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Directors Allen.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Egan. Aye. Garland. Aye. McDonald.
Aye. Thank you, that motion passed. This meeting is adjourned.